Hey guys, it's Harry from Whipped Cream Sounds, and today in this video we're going to go over my 5 favourite free VST plugins. Just before we start this video, these are my 5 free favourite VST plugins, but I do have a full list of 250 VST plugins with an OS compatibility tag, tags for what they are, so you can search for analog synth or you can search for reverb, and all the reverbs will come up down in the description below over on my website. So let's pop the headphones on and let's get onto it. So my first on the list and my absolute favorite free VST plugin that I use in every single track, I'm not even kidding, is Valhalla Supermassive. It's an insane free reverb plugin that just creates these, well, supermassive reverbs. I actually used it to create something over here, this little effects thing here. So if we just go ahead and play that. And as you can hear, that reverb tail really goes on, and I used a kind of like a bit of automation afterwards and auto panning and things like that to really get in there and create that, as well as a little sub oscillator. But what I did to create that is I used this up here, and we've got this harp swell. So if I play the harp swell to you, I had on Valhalla Supermassive this 8th carousel. So I heard that, and then I thought, I'm going to resample that. So what I did is I resampled it down there, and I resampled that audio, and then I added another Valhalla Supermassive on that audio and added a load of different auto panning effects, as you can see. And on here we've got the Hydra harp, which is a huge reverb, and it just sounds amazing. If I turn this whole mix up and I turn the auto panning off and the auto pan off here, just have a listen to this massive reverb. That is just a beautiful reverb if I've ever heard one. And inside you have a ton of different presets, echoes, carousels, different things like that. I'm just gonna pause that before that goes on again. Like I was saying, you got a ton of different echoes, reverbs down here. One of my favorite reverbs is this small plus wide reverb, and I actually use this a lot on my drum design. But it's just got a ton of absolutely awesome reverbs that are created through delays and different algorithms, and I'm not really sure how, but it just sounds cool. And you can change the different modes down here. Not entirely sure what each one does, but they sound cool, and that's really what matters, isn't it? You also got a lot of control on this mix knob, width knob. You got the delay size, which is basically just your reverb size or delay size. A warp mode, which it just sounds cool. Let me show you. And that can be used to just create some of the most awesome effects that you've ever heard. It's just an incredible plugin. Then you got feedback, density, modulation, and all this type of stuff over here, and a little EQ section. Great plugin. My next favorite free plugin on this list is the Auburn Sounds Couture. I'm not really sure how you say it. It's a transient shaper, and it is absolutely amazing for a free transient shaper. It's probably one of the best free transient shapers out there. You have a ton of different controls, and it just makes things sound wicked. So if I pop this on my drum loop down here, which is out of one of my packs that's coming soon, and then just use the different effects, you'll be able to hear the difference in the it just sounds good. It just really like tightens that snare up and tightens the kick up. Really nice, and makes it click a little bit more and just makes it kind of like sit in that mix better. You've also got a ton of different detection modes. You've got flat, human, Sybil. Not really sure what Sybil does, but you can change between these customized things and just make your sounds more customizable and better. You've also got a bass amount down here, which is absolutely wicked. So it detects the amount of bass, which can be really useful when you're doing things like separate transient shaping. So if you wanted to transient shape the top end of a bass guitar and you want to take the bass out of it and not affect that, then you could do that with couture. You've also got the dry and wet amount up here and different output settings as well, and there is a grayed out saturation section which is for the pro version, but to be honest the free version is so good for a transient shaper. It honestly contends with Wave's Smack Attack, which is my usual transient shaper, but this is insane. Now my next favorite free plugin is Softube Saturation Knob, and this is one of the best saturation knobs I've ever used, and it's completely free. It sounds incredible. One of the coolest things about this saturation plugin is you can actually change it between the lows, the mids, and the highs. So if you want to do some specific low saturation or specific high saturation, you can do that with a simple click of this button down here. It's also got a really easy to use interface. It literally is just one knob and this little clicker down here, and it just makes things sound great. If we add it to this little Chinese violin bass I made in Falcon and just keep it on neutral, you'll hear the difference. So this is it without. Sounds pretty cool already, but if we pop that saturation up a little bit like here, it just adds that extra grit on top. Sounds awesome, man. And like if you want to push it really hard, you can get some really nice distortion effects here. Now I have got an amp on this as well and things like that, but the soft tube saturation adds so much by itself, as you can hear. That sounds hard as. Like I said as well, you can use it on keep low, and I've got a really sort of low end bass here that I just want to affect the lows on and bring out the ends. So if we have a listen to it without. Now if we pop the saturation up a bit, bit too much maybe, just adds a nice little bit of tone on top of that. If we have a listen without. If we have a listen to everything together in this track, we've now got the Valhalla Supermassive, we've got the Couture Transient Shaper, and the saturation knob on top. Now everything is clipping like mad in that, and I do need to mix it, but it just adds so much height and depth to the track already, and I'm barely even finished with it. I think this is like an 8-bar loop. And we're not done with free VST plugins yet, we got another one to go. My fourth favorite VST plugin is a plugin called Fresh Air. This is by Slate Digital. You do need iLock to download this, and you do need to register it to an iLock account, but it is awesome. And basically what it is, it's like a really simple kind of EQ/exciter, and it works really well to basically bring out highs and mids and different presence. It's called Fresh Air. It just brings out the air in things. So if I was to use this on that FX we were on about earlier, and I just brought up some of the high air and the mid air. Let's have a listen before without. It's already quite high end, but we can bring out the highs a little bit more. So if I start to push that up a little bit, you'll hear the difference. And as you can hear, it really just brings out those sparkly ends of the high end. There's nothing really else to go over in this plugin. It's just a great simple plugin. It's 2 knobs and it makes things sound really bright. It's really good on hats, drums, masters, anything you can think of. Now the last plugin on my list is the Kilohearts limiter. Now this isn't a very exciting free plugin, but it's a very, very useful free plugin considering that Ableton doesn't come with a limiter. It does come with a limiter, but it doesn't come with a brick wall limiter or a threshold limiter. So I was looking for a threshold limiter. Most of them are quite expensive, they're paid, and I don't have that type of money. So I went for the Kilohearts limiter, and this little limiter is amazing. It's totally transparent. It can really push things exceptionally loud. It compresses things very nice. One thing it's really good on is vocals. Brick wall limiting vocals compresses them really well and gives you that nice kind of like poppy sound that most people want. And you can do this with the Kilohearts limiter. It's very, very clean limiter. It's almost kind of like the Fab Filter clean-esque limiter that you really want to push stuff without affecting the transients too much. Now I've just dialed in a couple settings on this on my already clipping beat to try and make it, you know, sound a little bit better. I've taken the input gain down, put the output gain up a bit just to reboost that a little bit, and I've put the threshold down as well. It sounds a lot better through this limiter. Sounds a lot cleaner than it did before, whereas before it was sounding very, very pushed and crushed. If we have another listen to that. You can really hear the digital distortion on the end of the Ableton limiter, whereas the kilohertz limiter is just a lot cleaner, a lot better, compresses it a little bit and just allows you to retain the dynamics, even though there are no dynamics in this, and just make it sound less digital. You're allowed to push it without distorting it too much. The final bonus is that over on the website, I have a full list of 250 free VST plugins with a search function, OS compatibility tags, and different tags to tell you what the free VST plugin is. You can search for things like reverb, compressors, analog synths, digital synths, wavetable synths, whatever you want, you can search for in this nice, neatly laid out table over on the website. These are 5 of my top favorite that I use all the time, but if you want a full list and you can't really afford VST plugins like, you know, most musicians because we're poor, then check out that list in the description below. Also, while you're down there, be sure to hit the like button if this helped you out. If it didn't, hit the dislike button and let me know why. And then also hit the subscribe button if you want to have more videos from me, and the notification bell. I'm doing sound design tutorials on Mr. Carmack, Medicine, Sam Galatry, all this cool type of stuff, and I'm also taking requests from artists that you want to learn about. That's the end of it. See you in the next one, potentially. If not, that's cool, man. Do your thing. See you soon.